Hi, it's Chris. Let's talk about English. So, have you ever heard someone say, "How come?" and you didn't know what it meant? How come has the same meaning as why. So, why do we say, "How come?" instead of why? When do people use "how come"? Well, let's talk about that. So, how come is used in more informal or casual situations, and it's used only for speaking. We don't use it when writing. Okay? So when you write something, unless you're writing dialogue and you want the person to say "how come," you would say "why" or write "why." How come, like I said, is used in casual situations. So, for example, a child and parent or among friends. Okay? Now, when do you use "how come"? Well, "how come" is used in place of "why" in situations when you are surprised, maybe disappointed, or a little bit frustrated. So, for example, your mother says, "You can't go to the concert." How come? Then you are a little bit angry. Or you wanted to speak to your friend and they have already gone home. So you're looking for your friend and another friend says, "Oh, sorry, he went home." How come? How come he went home? I wanted to talk to him. So in that situation, maybe I'm a little bit frustrated. So I can use "how come." Now, are there any situations where you can use "why" instead of "how come"? The answer is yes. You can always use "why" instead of "how come." "Why" can be used 100% of the time, but you can't always use "how come" instead of "why." So, why should we learn "how come"? Well, of course, you want to learn "how come" because it's very important to understand spoken language. So if somebody is speaking to you and you understand "how come," that's the most important reason to learn it. But why should you say "how come"? Well, if you want to speak more like a native speaker, it is best to learn as many phrases and English as possible. And "how come" is a phrase that is used every day, all the time. So if you want to sound more like a native English speaker, it's important to sometimes say "how come" in place of "why." Now, don't be afraid to use "how come." People will not get angry if you use it incorrectly. It's not that kind of phrase. So if you say "how come," and most people would say "why," people won't be, "Ugh." They'll just think, "Oh, maybe I wouldn't say "how come" then, but you did." And then it's finished. So I encourage you to try and use "how come" in different situations when you think it should be used. Now, there's one thing to remember. When we use "how come" and "why" in a sentence, we have to change the word order. So, for example, how come he is here. That is correct. But why he is here is not correct. We need to change the verb and the subject. We flip. So you would say, why is he here? So when using why in a sentence as a question, remember that you need to invert or flip the verb and subject. Okay? Other than that, feel free to change or experiment with the expressions how come and why. Okay, this is the end of the English part of the video. From here, I'm going to give an explanation in Japanese. Maybe poor Japanese, but for people that are in the audience that are my Japanese speaking audience members, if you want a little more expression to make sure that you understand the English that was just spoken, please continue to watch. Thank you very much for watching, and please like, share, and subscribe. And we'll see you next time. 皆さん、これからちょっと日本語の説明するつもりです。で、多分この先の英語の説明、ちょっとわからないところあったら、この説明がちょっと役に立つと思います。でも僕、日本語のプロじゃないですから、ちょっと変なところとか間違いの日本語ありましたら、許してください。じゃあ、この説明いきましょう。いや、なんで how come? その how come って言ったら、なんで how come 使うとか、どういう意味ですか？まあ、シンプルに how come は why と同じ意味です。だから、その why と使いとき、別に how come 使ってもいいときもあります。で、いつ how come 使ったらいいと、使わない方がいいと、ちょっと説明します。で、使うときは、そのカジュアルとか、そのフォーマルの時じゃなくて、だから友達同士とか、子供と両親とか、そういう関係だったら、how come よく使ってます。で、フォーマルだったら、その自分とボスと喋ってる、もっと偉い人と喋ってるなら、多分 how come 使わないですね。いつも why を使います。で、その how come も使うときは、そのびっくりするとき、例えばちょっとイラッとしているときも、よく how come 使います。例えば、もうそのライブ見に行きたいけど、お母さんが、じゃあ、ごめんなさい、でも、いけないです。ダメです。そういうときよく、how come I can't go to the concert? そういうときちょっとイライラとか怒ってるとか、そういう感じでよく how come 使います。例えば、その友達と喋りたい。で、ちょっと探して、でも、もう友達、家も帰りました。で、よく違うの友達が言ってて、いや、友達もう帰りましたよ。how come he went home? ちょっと、がっかりとか、ちょっとイライラとか、そういう時がよく how come 使います。でも、いつでも how come の代わりに why 使っても大丈夫ですかって聞いたら、やっぱりいつでも 100% 自由に why を使っても大丈夫です。じゃあ、なんでその how come の 勉強するとか、なんで覚えないとダメとか、やっぱり人の喋ってることを全部できるだけ分かりたいですね。だからそういう時は分かるように How come 分かった方がいいですね。で、それとやっぱりもっとネイティブっぽいお話したいなら、よく How come を使ってます。人たちが毎日よく話の時、よく How come を使ってます。だから自分もちょっと使えばもっとネイティブに聞こえます。で、それがすごくいいことですね。だから、それプラス、ない。How come? それプラス、もうそれプラス、例えば間違ったら、人が怒るとかじゃなくて、別に、僕と同じ使い方じゃないけど、そういう危ない言葉じゃないから、自由に使っても大丈夫と思います。もうチャレンジしてください。じゃあ、この How come と Why の違う、もう一つあります。だから書くとき、全部 Why と書きます。How come とか、もうそういう書き方、もう人の話、もう説明したいなら、それ以外 How come 使わないですね。で、最後のちょっと考えてほしい、覚えてほしいのは、How come と文法を使っていると、Why 質問すると、その言葉の順番がちょっと違います。だから、How come he is here が合ってます。でも、why he is here が間違ってます。やっぱり、その言葉、順番がちょっと変えないと、この質問するとき、why is he here?he と is がちょっと変わりますね。じゃあ、こういう how come と why の説明も終わりました。じゃあ、ちゃんとこれからもうなんで人たちが how come 言ってるのがちゃんとわかりますか？それプラス自分がちょっと使ってみたいの気持ち残ってますか？じゃあみんな英語をずっと頑張ってください。で、それ好きだったら Like、Share と Subscribe ください。じゃあみんなまた今度ね。じゃあね。